Welcome to the Especially for Athletes podcast, where we explore essential principles that empower athletes to learn life's most valuable lessons through sports.
Dustin, how are you, man?
Hey, Shad. Good to see you again.
You too. I'm so excited to talk about really something that's at the core of our program. We believe that we know that athletes have what we call the spotlight, that extra attention that comes to them because of their position as an athlete in their schools, communities, the nation, as we talk about professional athletes. And we try to help them live their life with their eyes up and do the work, right? And to really look for those who they can lift and help. And so our fourth principle that we end every presentation with is this idea of seek to bless, not to impress. So today we're going to talk about something that Abby Cox, the First Lady of Utah, who does many things with the Especially for Athletes program. She has a unified sports program that she supports, and our athletes help out with that. And it's become this great partnership. But she was on our podcast and she talked about a conversation she had with a young man who made a statement that really stuck with me, and it obviously impacted Abby Cox as well. And I think it gets right to the heart of this seek to bless, not to impress, and eyes up, do the work concept that we try to get in the heart of athletes. So here's what Abby said. I would love to get your thoughts on this young man's statement.
I was asking him about his experience. I said, what was your experience in high school? Were you bullied? He said, no, I wasn't really bullied. There were times when my mom and I would make cookies and I would sit on my front porch with a sign that said, will you be my friend? And that literally broke my heart. I mean, I was just crying thinking of my child being that person sitting on the porch asking if somebody will be his friend. And what he said to me, and I will never forget this, and I've repeated it 100 times. He said to me, people are friendly, but they weren't my friend. And what I'm seeing is with these athlete leaders, when they start to participate in unified sports, when they start seeing, eyes up, doing the work, when they start seeing people that are different from them or the people that they perceive have different abilities than them, when they see them as humans and as a friend, they are completely changed.
All right, Dustin, kind of hard to hear that kid's statement. Yeah. But I would love to know your thoughts on it and how it relates to our athletes seeking to bless and not impress other people.
The first thing I thought was exactly what Abby thought. I envisioned one of my kids, but even if it wasn't, if it was, one of your daughters or anybody's son or daughter, the thought of having to ask somebody to be their friend, the humility there, and also the pain that must obviously be behind having to ask that question. I'm fortunate that I've never had to actually ask somebody, will you be my friend? I can't imagine the loneliness that one must feel to get to the point where they're actually asking somebody to be their friend. But then she said something that you just alluded to that resonates with everybody, this idea of being friendly, but they weren't my friends. My thought was this, Shad, being friendly is not hard. In fact, I think most people are friendly as you get older, for the most part. Being friendly is easy. Just don't be a jerk. And by definition, I guess you're friendly. If you're just not, right? If you smile or someone says hi to you and you say hi back, or you open the door for somebody, or you let somebody through on the road and you let somebody go by and wave them in or whatever, you're being friendly. That's not hard. So that's easy. Being a friend is hard, because being a friend is there's an investment in somebody else's emotions, right? If I become a friend to you, Shad, and you've been one of my best friends for 26 or so years now, I invest in your life a little bit. You have a daughter who's doing some things right now on the other side of the world. And when I talk with you, I sense sometimes the feeling you have of having a child on the other side of the world, the heartache that because you're my friend, I feel some of that, right? If something happened in your life or to your family member, when your mom passed away, right? It hurt me because I'm a friend of you. And there was because I knew you were hurting, right? There's an investment that I have to give into you that's not my own investment. I have nothing to gain from that. It's just I let you into my life and therefore gave you part of or gave you the chance to do and have things that could hurt me. That's hard. So the easier thing to do if you don't want to feel pain is don't invest in anybody's emotions in their life. Just seclude yourself from others and just be selfish and in your own little world. And yes, you might not feel the pains of other people, but you're going to live a real lonely and sad life. So being a friend is hard because to be a good friend, you have to invest emotionally in somebody else. And you have to sacrifice in things for somebody else. And so for a lot of us, I can be friendly, but we still have to keep a length because I'm not going to be your friend because then that's going to mean I got to give you something and I'm selfish. I don't want to give you anything. So, our athletes that we ask to be friends with people, yes, we want them to be friendly, but when we speak to athletes, we hustle through that portion, right? I mean, we tell people, come on, just don't being a bully. Like you gotta really try to be a jerk to be a bully, right?
Right.
Instead of talking to 100 kids in a setting about not being a bully, most of them aren't. There might be one or two in there. We're trying to talk to 100 kids about how to be somebody's friend. And how do you do that? Well, you have to have your eyes up and look for those people that might need it, including looking in the mirror sometimes and realizing that you might need a friend and that you need to be a better friend to yourself sometimes. Because we say things about ourselves that we'd never say about somebody that was our friend or somebody that we loved. But then the second thing is once we see somebody that maybe could use a friend, we have to do the work. And it's work to be somebody's friend. It's not work to be friendly. So when we say do the work, we're saying be a friend, not just be kind to people. Sure, be kind. It's great. We all know that, right? But being a friend with somebody takes time and effort. And that's the real work that we're asking of people. And because this poor kid, somebody could take the cookie and say thank you, but he wants somebody to call him and ask him to go hang out, right? Or sit by him at lunch or walk down the hall with him and have interest in his life. What are you doing this weekend? How was last weekend? How was your Christmas? Like talk with him. And that takes a little bit of work because we have to sacrifice maybe some time or some, looking on our phone or playing a video game on our phone or hopping on social media and go be friendly to somebody to the point to where they consider us a friend. So anyway, that's what jumped out at me.
Yeah, I had a couple of thoughts on what she said. One is, I've said this a lot, but I'm passionate about this. People don't want to be included. They want to be valued.
Yeah.
As I've gone around this year and done presentations, I'll ask kids, does it feel good to be included? And most of the time they're like, yeah, we need to include everyone. I was like, okay, so let me say you got invited to a party and someone said this to you. It's okay if you'd like to come to my party on Friday. Like a lot of other people were invited and then you kind of hear about it. And then someone comes up to you and says, hey, if you want to come, you can. How would that feel? And everyone's like, I'm not going to that party. And I was like, yeah. See, you don't want to be included. You want to be valued. And so you should seek to value people. And I see that same thing, friendly, friendship, including people as being friendly. And we should do that. Valuing people is getting to know them, their hopes, their dreams, their fears, their hard days, their good days, what you celebrate with them, when you mourn with them. And I think that's what most people long for, is that connection that comes from being valued. And the other thing that struck me as she said that, our principle is seek to bless, not impress. And there's a reason why we have that not impress part. What strikes me as she shares that is a lot of things that I see people do, and I'm trying not to be judgmental here because I think we need to be friendly. And so I'm not even bemoaning. Yeah. However, if we're just trying to impress people instead of really bless people, we're going to be doing a lot of friendly things that other people see. We're going to be walking down the halls and saying, hi, hey, what's up? And but if our motive is that we want everyone to say, wow, they're so friendly, then we're missing it. We want people to feel valued, which, as you already articulated, it takes investment to help people to feel valued, to be a friend to someone. And sometimes I feel like when we're trying to impress people with our kindness instead of bless people with our kindness, then we're a friendly person who doesn't invest in anyone, because really who we're investing in is us. We want people to go, wow, they are so kind. They are so whatever it might be. And know that what I'm talking about right now, Dustin, is a super fine line. I would never want to like discourage friendliness because, oh, you're just being showy.
Yeah.
Will only be the one to know whether what I'm talking about right now is true or not. But I think when we start to value people and when we start to be friends instead of friendly, that will help us avoid this concept of trying to impress others instead of bless others. And I just feel it gives a level of protection when we really try to be a friend to people. Any thoughts on that part of not trying to impress others with our kindness?
Yes, but I'll be quick with it. I think it's maybe understanding that we don't need to be a friend necessarily because they need us as a friend. Yes, but not getting that opinion of ourselves that you need me to be your friend.
I'm coming down from Mount Coolness to dwell with you normal people.
I'm up here on my I'm cool. You need me to come to you to be your friend. Again, that's something that, only the person knows. But if you flip it around and that you can't have too many friends in life. So I need you to be my friend. I want to be friends with you because I want a friend.
Right.
And I hope that you want to be friends with me, but I need it as badly as you do because I want to be friends with as many people as I can. I want to have lots of people consider me to be a good friend or even the best friend. The more people I can have that can say he is one of my best friends, right? If me personally, if I could have a lot of people say at my funeral, he was one of my very best friends, that would be the greatest compliment ever. Like, I feel like, okay, then I mattered to people, right? Like, but if it was, he was super friendly, but they didn't know me, I didn't have a relationship with them. Okay, then you just weren't a jerk, in my opinion. Like, you just weren't that's not hard, right? Like, I want people to say that I was a friend to them and I want them to say that, or I want to be able to say that they were a friend to me because we need people. And when we go through these difficult times in our life, the more people we can have that care about us to help us, the better, right? And we've talked about on past episodes, this dark place that we're going to go through in life as an athlete and just as a human being. The more people you can have to reach out their hands and cheer you on as you try to get through it, right? Or help bandage you if you're wounded so that you can get through that hard time in your life, the better. Well, we can't do that going about our life just thinking you need me to be your friend because I'm popular, I'm not lonely, and you are. So you need me. So I'm going to come but I'm doing this for you, man. I don't need. That's the opposite of what we're trying to teach. This humility of understanding that everybody has something they can help you with. And everybody has something they know something about that you don't know as well about, or that you're not as good at. And Ralph Waldo Emerson's quote, to everybody I'm the lesser at something, and to that I learn of them, right? That I have something to learn from you and I want to learn that. So I want to be your friend for me. And if I can help you as well, great. But we both together need this. And we go about our life that way, investing in other people and hopefully getting them to invest in us. Then we create real friendships. Be friendly, everybody. Like your point, Shad, we're not saying don't do that. Be friendly. We need everybody to just be kind. It would solve a lot of problems, but do the work. Be more than just kind. Invest in people, and hopefully they'll invest in you. And when you develop that good, solid friendship where you really care about somebody and they care about you, it's one of the greatest things we have on earth is friendship. And so anyway, I think that there needs to be a focus on that. We hope from our athletes, not just being friends with their teammates, but trying to be friends with everybody and realize we all have something in common. And if you're talking about being a friend with somebody at your school, the one thing you all have in common that you all do have, and you will be connected to this one thing for the rest of your life. And that is you went to the same school together. You grew up in the same town together. And we've all had that situation 20 years later where we bump into somebody and we're by ourselves, and whether it's an airport or wherever, and we meet somebody and they say they're from even the state that we're from. It's, oh, we feel this connection. If they say they're from the same city or they went to the same high school, you immediately feel this connection to that person because we grew up in the same areas. We know the same places and we know the same people. And how many of our conversations start with, oh, you're from there, do you know? And as soon as they do, we all of a sudden, okay, I like this person. Because it's almost like I know you. If you grew up in my area, like we have this thing. We're together. You're kind of my boy, right? Like we walk the same streets. We ate at the same restaurants. We went to the same school. And so you realize that after high school, right, or after college, but we don't realize it as much when we're in it. And so I think looking back, if you and I could go back to high school, I would go back and try to be friends with more people, especially those that weren't interested in the same things I was. I didn't see at practice every day. I wish I had done more of that when I was 16, 17.
Me too, Dustin. And just to add a closing thought from my perspective, I've said before that I sense sometimes that young people, they almost treat friends as a status symbol. Like I'm friends with certain people.
Yeah.
It's almost like being friends with other people. It's almost like wearing something out of style, like, oh, I can't be seen with them. That lowers my, my, or people will think, oh, if they're hanging out with them, maybe they aren't as cool as I thought they were. I feel like we have to break through that's the dumbest thing in the world to treat people like fashion, that they bring meaning and value to you by their having cool friends or being part of a exclusive group somehow brings more value to you. You'll realize as you grow older, as we all do, that doesn't bring value to you. What brings value to you is the contribution that you make in other people's lives. And as you mentioned, as I've got to know people and invited them into my life, they have made my life more valuable, more rich, more well-rounded. And I do wish I would have went back in high school with that concept that you just said. I think I was too worried sometimes, even though I would even brag in high school that I don't care what anyone thinks of me. Like almost like I was above everyone's opinions. Like a lot of kids say that, but when I look back and I take an honest assessment of what I was like in high school, I was looking outward a lot in regard to what does everyone think of this. And sometimes when I was hanging out with certain people, like when I was a young sophomore and I was hanging out with the varsity basketball players, it felt pretty cool to be hanging out with the varsity basketball players. And it's not that that's wrong, but it was too much of my identity. And I wish I would have broken out of that and I would have been able to just try to befriend, to be a true friend. So people felt like Shad Martin is a guy that would be there for me. To make as many people feel that way as possible, I wish I could go back, take my 12-year-old self and say, hey, you'll be way happier in life if you just try to help others know that you're there for them and to be a real friend to them. And so love what Abby taught us there. I think we need to be friendly and be great friends to people. And the more people we could be a friend to, the better for us and for them. So I love that. Any closing thoughts, Dustin?
Maybe just one, and that is a good maybe measuring stick of whether or not we're a friendly person. How friendly are we to people when no one's watching? Right? When we're just with a person, a stranger, it's just the two of us. Are we as friendly to that person when no one's watching us as we are when people are watching us? and, be the same person in the dark and in the light. Because if you're two different people, one is bound to trip the other at some point. So, I think that's important that we're, I've heard the quote once: be as friendly to the CEO of the company as you are to the janitor of the company, and try to be friends with both, because everybody has something to give, something you can gain from, if you'll allow yourself to take from them, to open your and have a give and take from them. But as soon as we start thinking we're too cool for somebody, that they have nothing that we can value from, they can only value from us because we're so cool. As soon as we start taking that approach, man, we're in for a rude awakening pretty soon. And because we're all going to have our moments when we're going to wish we had some people who cared about us. And that comes from serving others and caring about others and giving to other people and being genuinely interested in other people, listening to other people, all those things that, real relationships have. And like we've talked about before, even with your own team, being a teammate, not just a team member, means that you need to be a friend with some of your teammates. At some level, you don't have to be best friends with them off the field or off the court, but they at least need to know that you care about them as a person, not just as a player during the game. That's where they know they can trust you. And later in life, those will be the most valued relationships you have. So anyway, good episode, Chad. And that interview with Abby, I wasn't part of that interview that you did with her. But to listeners, if you haven't gone back and listened to that one, Abby Cox and her husband, Governor Cox, are doing great things for the state of Utah. And she really gets it. And the service that she's providing with her platform, she's living this whole idea of seek to bless, not impress. She's genuinely interested in helping other people, not for votes for her husband. It's not for that. She's genuinely interested, and I think her husband is as well. They're, I believe, a breath of fresh air in the political world, because I think they truly do care about the people of their state, and she does a terrific job as First Lady of Utah. So
awesome. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining the Especially for Athletes podcast. Seek to bless, not impress. Eyes up, do the work.
Thank you for joining the Especially for Athletes podcast. To learn more about Especially for Athletes organization, get a copy of our book, The Sportlight, or to bring our program to your team, school, business, or organization, visit us at especiallyforathletes.org.